Welcome again back to Android Study Jam session 2. So, in this session, we'll be basically discussing or continuing our discussion from the last session. So, in the last session, we discussed about scrollable lists and we saw what are the uses of lists. In this session, we'll basically study more about lists and towards the end of the session, we'll also be making an app. So we'll be doing an hands-on activity as well. So let's get started with the session. So I'm just repeating a few things that we discussed in the last session as well. So we discussed about the equipment that is required for each and every session that we are doing. So at the start of the session, I'm just mentioning some equipment needed and some of the softwares that would be required, like Android Studio. So, based on the discussion that we had in the previous session, so these are some of the equipment that is required. So, you need a computer, an internet connection, an Android device, and USB cable. So, why would you need an Android device? Is because if you are basically building the app and you want to test your app or you want to run your app, and once the app is built, you want to basically run your app in a virtual device. And suppose you don't have a virtual device, you can basically use the Android device, the physical Android device that you have, and also the USB cable and Android Studio. So of course you'll need to install Android Studio if you want to code. Android Studio is basically giving users or people who are using it an integrated development environment. Moving on. So Android Studio, as we saw just talked about in the previous slide, is the official tool to build Android apps. And once we finish with the explanation part or the theory part that we are going to cover with in this session, we basically also make an app, and this app is probably one of the more recent apps that is being developed in the market right now, and there are many similar apps to this as well. So we'll be doing a very interesting hands-on session towards the end of the lab. And so, of course, you'll need an Android emulator as well. When you install Android Studio, it's better that you also install an Android emulator, which is a virtual device that appears so that you can run your program in your Android emulator and just test the results. So you can basically emulate an Android device on your computer as well. So you can also install the phone of your choice. And once you install the phone of your choice, you can run the app on the emulator. So once the build is successful, once the build is successful on your app, and what happens is the build starts and the app is installed on your emulator and the app starts running. In case you don't have an Android emulator, you can also use the physical device like we discussed in the previous slides by just connecting that to an USB cable and configuring the settings. So there are some prerequisites that you need to know before starting this session, and it is not a lot of prerequisites that you need to know. You just need to know, have some basic computer literacy, some math skills, an internet connection, and like we discussed in the previous slide as well, if you have an Android emulator, that's well and good, or you can have a Android device and a USB cable as well. So these are some of the things that you need to have. And so these are the learning objectives. Throughout the entire course, we'll be learning all these three objectives. So by the end of the course, you'll be able to build your first Android app. So in the first session itself, we have built some Android apps. We are just extending and we are just bringing in more complexity into the already existing Android apps we have. And you can also set up Android Studio on your computer, and by the end of the course, you would be setting up Android Studio. I hope everybody has installed the Android Studio application that we discussed about in the first session. Towards the end of the course, you'll really be good with the Kotlin programming language as well. So in the previous session, we just looked at Kotlin. So we understood what Kotlin is, we understood what are the features of Kotlin, and why is it slightly preferred. So 60 to 70% of the developers use Kotlin as their primary language to build Android apps. So we saw that as well. And now we'll be learning all these things throughout the course. So in the first session, we learned about introduction to Kotlin. We created our first Android app, and we studied what are layouts. We understood how to add a button, and if you would recall, we also made a hands-on. We also had a hands-on session where we are taking the input from the keyboard of the user, and then we are displaying the sum. So while displaying the sum, we used buttons in it, we used layouts in it, we used edit text, and we used many other components as well. And we saw even we covered even the fifth um, point. We took the user input to basically perform addition. And in this session, what we would do is we would basically display a scrollable list. So we'd have a list of items, and you want to basically display a scrollable list. And app navigation is something that we would learn in the future sessions. So today we only learn about displaying a scrollable list. We'll also understand how recycler view comes into picture here, and learn about recycler view as well. So these are the list of the topics that we would be covering throughout the syllabus. In another 3 sessions, we would be done with all the 15 syllabus points, the portions that we need to cover for our syllabus. And like I told, if you are interested in studying about more about Kotlin, you can of course earn all these badges as well. So we'll just get started with today's session objectives, and let's start with the concept. I'll start with scrollable lists. So it's basically it's common to make lists for all sorts of situation in your daily life, such as doing things in a to-do list, or when you're going to shopping, you have a shopping list where you want to buy um, a list of items from the shopping mall. And learning how to create and use lists is an important programming concept to add to your toolbox. So if you open the Play Store and see apps, when you just look at those apps, when you take, for example, Times of India app that we discussed in the previous session, or even if you take InShots app that we discussed in the previous session, we saw that all these applications are using lists widely to achieve whatever they want to achieve basically displaying news. And here also, it's the similar thing. So most apps that you use come with lists. Not every app, but most apps do come with lists. And learning how to create lists and use lists is a very important programming concept to add, because most app developers use lists to display something in a very organized fashion. It makes the app look structured as well. So there could be a list of news articles. So we were just talking about this, and we discussed this in detail in the previous session as well. We understood how Times of India is able to display those news articles and songs. So if you open Spotify and you have a list of songs that you listen to regularly, that is also basically displayed to the user in the form of list. And calendar events, of course. So when you take into consideration Microsoft Teams, so in the calendar section, if you go, you will have all the meetings in a form of a list. You can set it in such a way that you are seeing the meetings in a form of a list, or social media posts even. Um, so any social media application, when you open and when you scroll down, the post, or say Twitter, the tweets are basically displayed to you in a form of list. So there are many applications out on the Play Store that you can also consider and basically see where lists are used in such applications. If you think about apps you commonly use in your phone, almost every single app has a list. So that's what we had been talking about in the previous session as well, and also in the previous slide. So most apps use a list. It can be a call history screen, or it can be your contacts app and your favorite social media apps, and etc. Now, some of these apps display simple lists of word or phrases, while others display some more complex items such as card that includes text and images. So this is what I've been talking about. So when you take a phone book into consideration, you have a list and you scroll down that list to basically see who are your contacts in your phone book. But if you take into consideration InShots, for example, so it displays a card, it's a list, there's a card, there is text, and there is image. So InShots is perfect, one of the perfect examples to support your point three. And first, in this session, we'll discuss all the theory that we need to discuss. And once we finish with the theory, we do a full-fledged app. To help you build apps with lists, Android provides you something called Recycler View, right? This recycler view component, and this recycler view component is used to basically build apps with lists. If you want to display an application which has lists in it, you basically use recycler views, and it is designed to be very efficient even with large lists by reusing or recycling the views that have been scrolled off the screen. So what happens here is once you scroll, that component is basically recycled or reused. So that component again comes back to the front of the screen and you can use this recycler view again. So that's the basic working principle of a recycler view. We'll be learning more about recycler views when we actually implement an app where we want to display text on the screen. So we would be using recycler views there extensively. But for now, we'll just learn the theory, and coming towards the hands-on session, we basically learn about um, how to display that as well. Now, that means that the item is filled with the new content that scrolls into the screen. Of course, so once you swipe up, that content is hidden away and a new content is appearing on the screen. And once the new content is appearing, and again if you scroll, what happens is that that recycler view basically recycles itself and comes to the top, so you can use that recycler view again and again. So that's the basic concept of recycler view that is being explained in the points that I mentioned here. And now moving on, we talked about views in the previous session. We saw we saw different kinds of views. We saw list view, we saw grid view, and we basically learned more about views itself in general. So we also understood what's the basic layout. We understood what are the different kinds of layout, like linear layout, and a recycler view also can be thought of a combination of a list view and grid view. So list view is basically to view the list that you want to display and in a grid fashion. So once this list view and grid view is set up, and once you scroll, the older grid view that you used before is again recycled and coming back to the front of the screen. So that is about recycler views. That's how recycler views work. There are features to separate your code into maintainable components to even as they enforce memory efficient design patterns. So you basically, what this point means is in a code base, instead of writing many lines of code, you are separating your code into maintainable components slash features, which means that when you divide your entire code base into components like these, each of these components can be maintained separately and be assigned to teams for development, for example. And what happens is that when you split the code or separate the code into maintainable components, then each of the component can be monitored so that you don't basically run into some kind of errors in the future. It's not only that, but they also enforce memory efficient design, because once you separate your code or split your code into maintainable components, it is easy to handle such maintainable components. So you can basically imagine this to be, a similar concept to functions that you studied in Java. So in functions, what we saw is instead of maintaining a huge code base where um, you're basically building applications, if you basically split that entire code base into functions, these functions can be separately maintained. So they are separatable, they are maintainable components separately. And when a list item is scrolled off the screen, recycler view reuses that view for the next list item about to be displayed. So again, technically, we have been discussing that in the previous slide as well. So once you scroll that list item off, say again, InShots is again the best example for understanding how exactly a list view works. So we saw that complex text or images can be basically represented in the form of a recycler view, and once you finish reading the particular news article, what we do is we swipe up so that the next article appears. So you can basically just understand the entire process of how Recycler View works by taking InShots as an example or the Times of India news application as an example. So once you actually do hands-on using all these applications, you would understand how to implement them in your application as well. So that's about recycler views. Until here, does anybody have any doubt? If anybody have any doubts, they could ask me, or we can just move on with the next topic. I'll just add a few more things that I want to talk about recycler views here. And the first thing I would like to add here is recycler view makes it easy to efficiently display large sets of data. So again, when you take into consideration InShots app, you have news all over the world that is coming from all over the world. So you have news, and the news is never constant. So when you take the database into consideration, or when you take the number of articles that arrive at the news office every day, there's a lot of content. So you need to basically be able to process such huge data sets and be basically able to display those data sets and process them and show them, and the users or the end users or the people who are using that application should be able to read each and every news article that comes on the phone. So that's where recycle view makes it easy. So this is where it comes into picture, and you can efficiently and easily display large sets of data. So you basically supply the data and define how each item looks, and the recycler view library would dynamically create the elements when they are needed. So especially, so you just need not worry about how it is being served up in the end user's phone or end user's mobile device. So once you just code it, it would be really easy, and the recycler view would basically take care of all the nitty gritty details of how it has to be processed and how it has to be shown to the end user. So as the name implies, it recycles those individual elements. So we just saw when you scroll off, it uses that view in the next list item to be displayed, or the next news. For example, when we take this InShots app. And there are some key classes that we need to know when we talk about recycler view, and one is view group, right? And view group means view group basically contains views that is corresponding to your data. So it could be the view itself. So the way in which the news article is being represented in front of the user. So that is about that. And there are again a few other elements as well, like the layout manager. And the layout manager basically arranges the individual elements in your list. So the layout manager is basically taking care of the layout of the screen. So it calculates the distance and exactly the place, the dimensions, and it takes care of where exactly in the entire screen the news has to be placed so that the viewing becomes easy. The viewing process becomes really easy for the end user or the end customer. So layout manager is something that I would like to add here and a point for you to remember. And now we'll be talking about adapters. So I'll introduce you to adapters. So adapter is basically an adapter object. So you can even say adapters to be a bridge between the adapter view and the underlying data for that view. So again, in order to display the items, it is just not enough to basically just supply it to the front of the screen. So you need something called as an adapter object, and this adapter object will basically bridge the gap. So whatever is the underlying data for that view. So let us again consider this InShots example. And suppose you have a news and the underlying data for this view should be the news headlines and the news description. So that is about adapters. So what it would do is you would basically have an adaptive view as well. We'd be basically even implementing adapters as well. So when you implement adapters, I think all of us would get a better way to understand how it basically works all together. And it provides access to the data items, which means that you can access each headline. So if these headlines are basically written in one particular fashion, or if the description of these headlines are also written in one particular fashion, you can provide access to the data items using these adapters. So that is one point to keep in mind. And it is also responsible for making a android.view.view. So we understood what was Android view and view in the first session where we discussed about views. We also saw what views are. We saw the different types. We dealt with views in a much greater detail. And again, the item view type that causes the adapter view to ignore the item view. So basically, again, here when you take in adapter view, there are a lot of constants, or there are some public methods. It consists of some public methods like get item view type, get item ID, get item, get count, etc. Just to summarize adapters, it basically works in unison with this recycler view. So we discussed the fourth point in the previous slides as well. So you can basically make adapters and recycler views to work in unison in order to exactly project the data that you want to project on your Android application or Android screen. So using the get count method that I just talked about, some of the public methods that I just talked about, get autofill options basically gets a string representation of the adapter data that can help. Get item is getting the data item associated with the specific position in the data set. So again, adapters would help in fetching all the data. So you have the headlines and also you have the news description, and you want to get this description. So you can reference this description to make it visible in the screen. So get item would basically get the data item associated with a specific position in the data set. So each of those news articles will have a specific position that is mentioned in the data set. So adapters would fetch that. get item ID as well. So each of these news articles would have an ID associated with it, and you can just pull out the ID also of your preferred news article. And get view basically gets a view that displays the data at a specified position in the data set. So you want to get a view in the sense you want to display that particular news article in a particular position in the data set, and that would be done by adapters. So there are again a lot of features or the public methods that I can talk about adapters, and it is always better that we do a hands-on session using adapters so that it is really easy to grasp all the concepts. So I'll be moving on to my Android Studio. So this is my application. So it definitely looks really complex, but it is quite simple when you take into consideration and understand what each of them is doing. So before we begin, what we would like to talk about what this application would do. So nowadays in the Play Store, you might have seen many affirmation apps, right? So affirmations are basically going to display some affirmations to you. So everyday affirmations we would like to display in the application. So in order to display that, we would be basically using all the concepts that we studied until now in this application so as to implement this application. So before we get started with the app, does anybody have any doubts in the theory that we discussed so far? If nobody has any doubts in the theory discussed so far, we can move on to building of this application. All right. So since nobody has any doubt, um, we can start with understanding this application well. So some of the prerequisites that we need to know about this application is that we are definitely going to use all the concepts that we understood till now into action. And I would also expect you to know some basics, some programming basics as well, so as to understand in much bigger detail or much greater detail what this entire app would do. We would also be able to describe each and every component that we are using in our application. So just to give you a little bit background onto similar apps like this on the Play Store, I would like just to add a few points here. So if you think about apps you commonly use on your phone, every single app almost has a list. So we'll be using list, and we'll also be using adapters here, recycler views here that we learned in the slides, and making an app which would give you affirmations of the day. So all the affirmations of a particular day would be displayed in a list format using the adapter. So that's about what we would be doing in this application, and we can also see what each one of them does. So once you create an empty activity project, it is really simple to create an empty activity project. You just need to go to file, and then you need to go to new, and then you can create a new project. So it is really simple to create a new project in that way. And once a new project is created, a text view is basically displayed on the front of the screen. Now, the first thing we need to know or we need to understand here is we need to understand how the data is being set up here. And we have to set up basically the list of data. So all the affirmations that we have been talking about till now, that has to be set up, and that can be set up using the string resources to display the affirmations in the app. So I'll show you the file also exactly where the string resources is uh, being present. And we'll basically add two things to our project. We'll add the string resources to display as affirmations in the app, and we'll also have a data source or a source to basically provide a list of affirmations to the app. So using this data source, what we would do is we would basically be showing you the list of affirmations that you want to display in your application at the end of the day. And in order to do that, this is the file hierarchy or this is the file structure of your entire application. So you have your apps and then you have the Java folder and there are a lot of packages here. We'll be discussing about packages in a while from now. And so if you go to res and if you go to values, there is a file called strings.xml. So in the strings.xml file, what we have done is we have basically given a name to each of the string. We have many strings here and we are basically giving many affirmations here. So there are a lot of affirmations like there are 10 affirmations here. It can be I am strong, I believe in myself, and there are a lot of affirmations here. And these 10, the end goal is basically we have to display a list of all these affirmations using the concepts that we studied till now. So, in order to do that, this is very similar to how you would code in HTML. So, you have a lot of tags, right? So, you can basically connect, writing HTML code to writing some code here in the XML files. So, you have the resources and you're providing it with the string resources like we discussed in the first point. So you'll be basically providing string resources and also you'll be providing a data source. And once you provide both of these, you can easily display all the affirmations in a list. And using the help of adapter, also you'll be able to and when all these things work in unison, you'll be able to display the list of affirmations on your screen. So this is my strings.xml file, and there is not much here to discuss. There is just uh, a lot of strings here, and each of them contains one affirmation. And in order to display all these affirmations on the screen, we would be needing to refer all these affirmations. So once all these affirmations are referred to from 1 to 10, we would be basically able to then display all these affirmations on the screen. So the other thing that we talked about some time back is packages. So what are packages? So packages are nothing but organizing your code logically that helps you and the other developers in your team also to understand. So we talked about this point during the start of the session as well, where we said that instead of writing many lines of code on a single file, which again uses a lot of memory, it is always better to split the code base into functions or modules so that it is really simple for developers to just call that function and use that function instead of searching from a lot of lines of code. Um, there are basically two advantages to it. One is that, of course, the memory usage is less, and the second one is the time is also reduced, and basically many people need not be basically looking at one particular file to resolve any error in the code. So that is another place where it is really important, or use case you can say really important, so as to split your entire program into smaller such working modules or units. And then this is where package comes into place. So here you have packages, and I have many packages here. I have three packages that I made under the affirmations package. So if affirmation can be called as a parent package, these adapter, data, and model are the sub packages of the affirmations package. So I'm having a package called adapter where I'm going to write down all the code that is required for the adapter to function. And like we have been learning each of these separately. So it is always better to separately explain them as well, so for you to understand how adapter works in a better fashion. So that is about the adapter package. Under the affirmations package we have, and we also have a data package. And in the data package, we have a Kotlin file called data source. We have a Kotlin class basically called as data source. And this data source would be used in order to get the items. And we also have a model package. And in the model package, we have a Kotlin file called affirmation.kt, which we would be discussing in a while from now. So as we saw, packages are nothing but organizing your code logically for you and also for other developers to understand. So once you basically divide your app into very understandable packages like these, it is really simple for other developers to pitch in and work on your app so that people aren't confused. It increases the readability of your app. So that is about package. And we have created three packages here, namely adapter, data, and model. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to create the affirmation data class. In order to create the affirmation data class, what we are doing is we are basically making a new Kotlin class called affirmation.kt. We are also making a package or a sub package called module. And inside the sub package module, we would be writing the code that needs to go inside the affirmation.kt file. So when you hover to affirmation.kt, it is really simple here. We just have one line of code here which says affirmation and the string resource ID. So the string resource ID, you're basically saying that string resource ID to be int. We had discussed this again some time back when we were discussing in the slides where we saw that we were getting the ID name. So each of those um, news articles were basically assigned a particular ID to them. So this is where we are actually referring to that. That's a different example, but here in case of affirmations, we are considering it like this. So this is the way it is being considered in this application. So in affirmations.kt, you have a data class. You're making a data class. And how are you making it a data class? You're making it a data class because you're basically writing this data keyword before the class definition. So we are writing, so this affirmation class now is a data class. And when you create an instance of affirmation, you need to pass the resource ID of the affirmation string. So we saw different affirmation strings here, and each affirmation string is basically allotted an ID. That ID, we are referencing it here. The second thing here to understand is about the data source.kt. So this data source.kt is another file where now we are basically referencing each and every affirmation that is present in this strings.xml file. So in order to optimize it better, and we just talked about splitting the entire code base into packages or the entire application into packages where we are able to split the entire program or the entire application so that it's increasing the readability for developers who are developing on this particular application. So now we are creating a class called data source, and what this function is doing is it is basically returning the list of affirmations. So we studied this dot notation in the uh, first session, if you could recall. So R is nothing but the set of resources here, and string is basically trying to get the string with the data type. And what we are doing is we are basically fetching each and every affirmation from here. So r.string.affirmation3 would be basically referencing the affirmation 3 that is written here. So each day is a new opportunity to grow and to be a better version of yourself. So it is basically referring to this. So we are able to get what it refers. And since Android Studio is a integrated development environment, if you would just hover around affirmation one, you could read each and every affirmation so as to just confirm that you are actually referencing the right quote or the right string. So as you can see, you have displayed down in the text box which says each day is a new opportunity to grow and be a better version of yourself. So this was same affirmation that was discussed in strings.xml quite some time back, and now you are referencing each and every string correctly. So we are just working with 10 affirmations here, so you can kind of understand how difficult would it be when you are actually working with a huge code base where you have so many news articles that is coming into your app um, every time. So this is the most interesting part of the entire application. Here is where I'd be adding a recycler view to my application. So until now, we have been discussing about what recycler view is and what is the use of recycler view, where is it used, etc. So in this particular part of this application, what we would do is we would be adding a recycler view to display the list of affirmations, right? So there are a number of pieces involved in creating and using a recycler view. So basically, there are a lot of components that are involved, and the four components are item, where there are data items to display. In short application, you can think of those data items to be news articles, and here they are just affirmations to display. So there is data item that is also associated. Then there is an adapter. So an adapter basically takes data and prepares it for the recycler view to display. So this is what we have been talking about in the slides when we were discussing in the slides as well. So we were talking about what adapter is. Then you have view holders, and view holders are nothing but a pool of views for recycler view to use and reuse the display affirmations. So we had talked about views in detail in the first session, and here the view holder basically makes sure that all the curated content that we have is being presented in a correct fashion, especially in your Android mobile device. And recycler view is nothing but to show the views, to show the same views on the screen. So when you are showing those same views on the screen, you would use the recycler view component. And in the first session, we had also discussed about the design elements, right? In the activity main.xml, we studied about the different design elements and how we are actually referring to those design elements when you go to the design pane here. So in this design pane, you have item 0, item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, and up to so on, item 9. And these items are basically used to store all the list views. And in the recycler view, we also saw what recycler view is all about, and we had also discussed some important components when you take into recycler view into consideration, like or any other um, basic component. If you try to bring in a button or if you're trying to bring in a text view, etc., we saw some of the very important parameters that are associated with it, like ID, like layout width, layout height, ID, layout manager, scroll bars, layout width. So match parent is basically it's going to match the parent layout, which means that it is going to occupy the entire space of your Android device. So that's with layout width and layout height. So here what we are doing is we are we are dragging and dropping a recycler view into your main component here. And you are just saying the width and height of this recycler view to basically match the parent as well. So the recycler view is going to occupy the entire screen space. So this is how we have basically dealt with when we consider views in this particular application. So that is about how to drag in the recycled view into your design component. And now we'll be basically studying more about adapters. So in this list, item.xml, we have a text view here, and this text view is basically given the ID called item underscore title. So item underscore title is the ID that is given to this particular text view, which would refer to this particular text view as well. We can shift our focus to the main activity.kt, where you are basically initializing that data, that my data set is the data source dot load affirmations. So in this load affirmations, what is going to happen is all the affirmations that we have in our data source, and in our data source, basically we are again referencing this to r.string.affirmation1, r.string.affirmation2, and etc., which are again present in this strings.xml, where we have each and every affirmation. So we are referencing that here, and then we are also creating a recycler view. And in order to create this recycler view and use all these recycler views effectively, we have to import them as well. But we need not worry about importing them because they are all auto imported into Android Studio. So we need not worry about importing the Android view, adapter and the data source and the recycler view into our application because it is automatically done. And now we have the item adapter. This is where we'll be discussing about the adapter component especially. Just to sum it up, item view holder is basically, again, finding view by ID, r.id.item title. So what it does is it goes to the activity main and searches for the element with the ID item underscore title, and it would find that view. So R here stands for resources, and ID is basically the ID number that is generated for each and every component that we are referring. And then we have the onCreate view holder, onBind view holder, and get item count. So we discussed about get item count while we were discussing this slides. So we saw what get item count does. These are some of the functions that are included when we when we take into consideration adapter. So in order to optimize the code, I've made the adapter a different package, and I've made a class also called item adapter, where we are only using this adapter functions in order to help the recycler view to display each and every affirmations on the screen. So you can run the app as well. So you can run the app basically to build the entire affirmations app. So as you can see, the build is actually happening, and the build was successful here. And you are basically seeing each and every affirmation, and it is actually working in unison if you take into consideration. So you have the adapter that is basically helping the recycler view to take out some of the elements that are present in the string.xml affirmation, where we have written each of them. And in the main activity, what we are doing is we are creating the data set, and we are basically pointing this data set to the data source dot load affirmation. So we have this load affirmations function as well. And then in the data source dot kt, what we are doing is here we have a class called data source, and here we have the load affirmations functions that we are basically calling here. And what this does is it brings a list. So it basically takes a list, and list is also working here. So this is an app, or this is a hands-on session where we saw everything working in unison. So this is about the affirmations app. So you can take this as an example and build your own applications as well. That's it for from my side for this lecture. We could wrap up this session.